Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the amazing Sunday out here. So, this is the seventh day of the pre conference week one of Mentor Conference. Today, the whole day is dedicated to products and product managers and product management and the product enthusiasts and aspirants. So, we are going to discuss and start our day with one of the very interesting topic of how to switch or get into product management. And I've gotten an amazing speaker, and nothing like, you should definitely follow what she's going to discuss and talk about product management and how to break into product management. She got into one of the top companies in the world in product management also, and she's a US grad. So I'll definitely invite the current speaker. Just give me a second. Hi, Mandakini. How are you?
I'm very well, Nikhil. Thank you so much. Appreciate the invitation to be able to speak on behalf of Foreign Limits today.
Perfect. So just to let our audience know, Mandakini is an incoming product manager, Amazon program manager, and a data-driven decision maker who loves to dig into customer problems and solve them with modern technology. That's ideally one of the product management profile is for. Okay. So she successfully made businesses from 100K to 1 million in revenue. She has led grew people of World Cup product teams from 4 people to 48 people. She is also outside the work. She has practices, I think, Nichiren Daishoin Buddhism, which is aimed at valuing humans. So that's something reflects in her a lot of LinkedIn posts also, and she's quite a sport. She's quite related to sports and enjoys traveling, reading, and exploring different cultures. And also, she's a US grad, so you definitely get to understand about international students and product management. Is how does it go in terms of getting a first job in product management field. So welcome again, Mandakini. Audience would love to know a little bit, informal background about you. Where do you come from? What have you done? Why US? Why product management? A little bit into this, and then we'll get into the fireside chat.
Sure, absolutely. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who's connecting from different parts of the world. So happy to be talking to all of you today. And it's interesting that Nikhil asked me this question because I think it's important for all of you to know my background since I don't come from a traditional product management background. I finished my engineering in 2007 from University of Pune. I am an electronics and telecommunications engineer, and I have held this dream of being in the United States ever since almost 1998. So the original plan was to go off to the US, do my aeronautical engineering, which at that time in India was only being provided by IIT Powai. And honestly, I really never thought I would be able to crack IIT. So I was very clear of going off to the US, doing my undergrad in aeronautical, and then working for Boeing. But long story short, obviously that didn't work out. And After my engineering, I did a lot of things. I was just very specific about one thing and clear about one thing, that I did not want to sit and code. So I was not going to become a software engineer, and I was not going to sit and write code. And at that time, I think the basic mindset was that, hey, if you're not coding, you can't be in IT. Or could be I just didn't have the right guidance. I'm not sure, whatever it was, right? I'm talking 14 years ago when I graduated. Um, so of course I worked at a few companies here in India, nothing to do with tech, and then in 2012 made the decision that I was moving to the US. So where people apply at least a year in advance, I was completing my applications even in April and May, and I had requested universities just to hold off on my final application because I was still taking my GMAT. And then I got an admit into three universities. I picked Georgia State, which is based in Atlanta, and I did a dual master's in business analysis and market research. I graduated top of my class with a Dean's Award. So I went from being someone who didn't know what to do in her life and had just no direction whatsoever. To graduating top of my class, and I attribute this to very focused and action oriented work, understanding what was really needed of me and required of me, and then moving in that direction. Shortly after that, moved into corporate America, started working as a process consultant. Again, nothing to do with product. Okay, I was working in the healthcare field, and the initial goal was to become a black belt Six Sigma certified consultant and continue to work in that direction. But life doesn't always go as we plan, and Immigration issues kind of threw me into a space where I had to work as a hardcore business analyst. And then, but I was clear that I didn't want to become a project manager or a scrum master. No offense to anyone who is doing that currently in their field or wants to do that. That's just what I didn't want to do. And in 2018, I needed to come back to India to, get my visa stamped. What was initially meant to be only a 3-week vacation has now landed up into being 2.5 years. But in those 2.5 years, some of it was forced, some of it was that I voluntarily wanted to take time off. And I evaluated what do I really enjoy doing in life. And one thing that glaringly was obvious to me is that I enjoyed building things, and that naturally drew me towards product management. I had over 67 coffee chats last year to be able to understand where people were in the product management journey, right from associate product managers who were just graduating, who were perhaps 10, 12 years younger to me, to people who were heads of products and directors of products. Okay, I do want to give a caveat here. Not all my conversations were free. So where I hadn't made an income in 2 years, I was still willing to pay because I needed that input, right? And that put me on the path of being absolutely clear that product management was a direction I wanted to take my career in. And then I upskilled myself, I studied, I did whatever possible to make sure that when the economy started opening up after COVID, I was going to be in the right space to attract that job that I really wanted. And I will be joining Amazon as a program manager. Don't get confused with the title, because whether it's Amazon or Microsoft, one of their titles really is program manager, but you're doing all product related work. So I will be joining Amazon, and I'll be moving back to San Diego in California to start my role at the end of August. So that is, informal background about me to help everyone understand that you don't need a formal product management background to break into a large tech company, right? So, but yeah, happy to chat about that more as we continue to move forward.
Absolutely. No, that's a very interesting insight, and the background is amazing. So let's understand a little bit into, who is the right fit audience for product management. You definitely said you don't need a formal background, but what kind of background one would need to be able to get into product management?
So honestly, Nikhil, anyone can get into product management. You could literally just come from the retail industry and you could get into product management, because the point is that product management isn't so much about hard skills as it is about your mental thought process. Okay, and I do want to take an opportunity and kind of outline a few characteristics that will make someone a successful product manager. Okay, first and foremost is that one needs to understand their ability to be able to work with numbers, to be able to determine that if there is data that is given to them, do they have the ability to come to some sort of a conclusion with that data? Because that is one of the core requirements of a product manager. Because entering into an organization as a product manager, what is the goal? Either there is an existing product or there is a new product that needs to be built. Either way, the goal is to be able to understand that whether or not this product is going to be fruitful in the market, and if the organization should even invest their time into building the product or even launching the product, right? So it all comes down to a return on investment, and that comes down to being able to make decisions based on data. So we have to hone our skills to be able to understand data. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing is we need to hone our skills to be able to communicate effectively. Now please understand, when I say communicate effectively, I don't mean that you have to be grammatically correct. I don't mean that English needs to be your first language. But what I mean is there is an ethic of communication. There is a courtesy in communication. Okay, there is a business mindset that one develops when you communicate, right? And these are aspects which are very, very crucial to a product manager. Third is one's ability to make an impact, because a product manager does not work alone. As product managers, we work with a release management team, we work with developers, we work with designers, we work with QA analysts. Okay, we work with all of these people. So if If senior management tells me, okay, that Mandakini, this is the product, it needs to go out in 2 months, figure it out how it needs to happen. I have to be able to have that rapport with my team, okay, which is developed over a period of time, and have that influencing impact on them so that they understand why am I asking them to do something. So these are primarily soft skills that are developed over a period of time, but one has to be very conscious about them. So, if today in the audience we have people who are still going to college, or we have people who are just about graduating, my one of the things I can encourage you to do is be very conscious about these aspects, okay? Because I categorize product managers into four categories. One is a versatile leader. This individual is someone who is a subject matter expert, who has the ability to make an impact, and is very managerial in their everyday operations, okay? And they have the ability to shape the future of the organization, okay? That's one. The second person is a frustrated genius. Now, who is a frustrated genius? A frustrated genius is someone who knows everything of everything, however is unable to put anything into action because the person is waiting to get some sort of direction and does not have self initiative, which is a very dangerous spot to be in, okay? Third is a driver. A driver is someone who knows his or her own subject matter, but along with that has some understanding of a few other things, however, does not have managerial skills. So you tell the person to do something which is part of their subject matter expertise, and that person will do it. And last but not the least is an apprentice. Now, this apprentice is someone who has information about all aspects. It could be design, it could be development. They have an understanding, yet they're looking to create a niche, but they are not a leader because they don't have management skills. Okay. Now, a person could fall into any four of those categories, but the goal is to eventually reach the versatile leader category, where you have command over your own subject matter, you have an understanding about other subject matters, and you're able to lead people. Okay, so that is eventually where you want to get to. So I hope that answers your question, Nikhil.
Absolutely. I think that's pretty much insightful about this. Okay, now I have another question for you. How someone switch, because there is a lot of people who are getting from X field to Y field, and it's self-explanatory because product management do require different kinds and diverse kind of backgrounds, to be able to get into that. So how to switch to a PM role from other roles? A person could be coming from sales, person could be coming from tech, person could be coming from operations, and all three could do successfully well in PM, right? It. So
Yeah.
how someone can switch to PM role?
Okay, sure. Happy to answer that since I made that switch. Okay. So if you are not a traditional PM, or you have not started your career as a product manager, okay, and when I mean started your career, typically when you're finishing grad school, what will happen is that there will either be new grad programs, or what is very popularly referred to as an associate product manager. Those are roles for people who are just graduating. Okay. Now, having said that, let's say that is not a route that you have taken. You have a few years of work experience, and you realize that product management is where you want to go. And understandably, because today 82% of job seekers are looking for product manager roles. It is like what a software engineer used to be perhaps 20 years ago. That is what product management is today. Now, how can you switch? So first and foremost, if you are looking to make a switch, you should not put yourself in a situation where you want a job immediately. Okay, because a switch will take some time. So if you are in a current job, please understand that don't put that pressure on yourself that, oh my God, I need to switch to product management. I want to leave this job immediately and I need to switch in 30 days. Uh, I want to be honest with you, it's not going to be possible because this is something you've not done before. So you need to do some research. So when you're looking to switch to product management, the switch needs to happen when you perhaps have a job already, okay, and you are willing to give yourself some time to be able to switch. So that's the first thing you need to keep in mind. Okay. The second thing is that make a list of companies that you want to work at and determine whether they have product management roles or not. Okay. Now, once you've made that list of companies, and it needs to be exhaustive, I have people coming to me that, okay, these are 5 companies I want to work at, these are my dream companies. Well, let's be honest, Apple could be a dream company, but if you've never worked in product management, cracking your first role in product management at Apple is not a smart choice. Okay. Do it in the long run, that's great, but not like, oh, I want a job in 30 days and Apple is the only company I'm going to work for, right? So make a good exhaustive list. Just to give you a perspective, when I started my job search to get into product management, I had a list of 103 companies. Okay. And then I kind of started breaking them down into what and what not. So first, like I said, is don't be don't put yourself in a position where, okay, you need to switch, it's urgent, and you only want to switch into product management. Okay. If you are currently working, please make sure that you are doing justice to the current job that you're working in while you identify ways to switch into product management. So the first is make that list of companies that you want to work at, and the criteria should also be that they have product management roles. That's one. Second is pick about 10 companies or so where it is going to be somewhere between easy to medium for you to crack an interview. Okay. Extract the roles where you feel that, okay, these are roles where you have done similar kind of work. Okay. And now extract that and make a document that, okay, these are the skills which are required. Which one of those do you already have? Which one of those can you gain academically? And if there are skills which are, say, over 50% which don't fall into these two categories, start identifying a few startup companies where you can perhaps, shadow someone, or you can just do some pro bono work for them to learn about product management. So this is one way. The second way is that if you are working at an organization that has product management roles, okay, start speaking to people who are product managers at your organization and start shadowing those people. Could be 2 3 hours a week. Now, of course, you will need to go out of your current working schedule, okay, and start shadowing those people. So you will understand what it takes to be a product manager, and eventually they may have a role on their team and you can make that switch. So then you're not leaving your current organization, you're in your current organization, but you're making that switch from where you are to where you want to be. Third option is that if you have not been in the workforce for very long, so let's say you've been working for a year or two only, okay, I will strongly recommend that you do research about the associate product manager roles, which almost every large multinational corporation or big tech offers, okay, and take that route. So what will happen is that the current experience that you have gained, you can retain that. It may be a step back in your career, so let's say could be 6 8 months back in your career if you get into an associate product manager role, but after a year or two it will buy you back more time because you will have created a more traditional path for yourself. So which of these three options you choose that I just gave you completely depends upon where you are in your career. Okay. So it isn't a cookie cutter approach that, okay, this is one approach that fits all. It depends from individual to individual where you are in your career and what is it that you're willing to risk. For example, I was very clear I wanted to get into product management. So if it meant that, I had to completely wipe out 10 years of my work experience to go back into an associate product manager role, I was willing to do that. But I didn't have to do it because a lot of my work experience later on, after talking to people, I realized was work that a product manager does. Okay. So therefore, I could leverage that experience. But if you've just worked in sales for 1 or 2 years, there may not be a lot of hard skills that you can map to what a product manager does. But soft skills, absolutely yes, because empathy, compassion are very, very critical skills for a product manager, which come to someone who is in sales, which someone who in sales absolutely needs it, right? So you can map those soft skills. So you need to figure out which of these three approaches you can use based on where you are in your journey.
Interesting.
So that would be my
Okay,
recommendation.
so perfect. So now I have another question. I'll take. I think we should take a pause, and there are so many questions being asked. Let's take some
Sure,
questions and then we'll move ahead. Okay.
sure,
So
sure.
we have one question, uh, and it could be certain generic questions also. Let's start with something basic.
Mhm.
So we have one question: is someone is into IT sales? How can one shift into product management? You know, or someone is doing computer science undergrad. So similar questions are there.
Okay, so I'll again see. I think what this gentleman's trying to ask is he's in IT sales. Can he switch into product management? Okay, so the answer is yes. I think let me say this first that product management isn't specific to a specific type of people. Okay, that is very, very important to understand. That's point number one. The second point to understand is that if you have significant work experience and you're looking to switch, you will have to do your research. And I think this is a point that a lot of people overlook, the work that they need to do. Okay, they feel that someone is going to come and place everything on a platter and everything will be great. No, if I started telling you the amount of research and work that I have put in 1.5 years, okay, it is equivalent to me getting a PhD in trying to figure out whether I can move to product management or not. Okay, but that was my personal take. That's how I wanted to do it. Okay, so like I said, to answer this gentleman's question, if you're in IT sales, can you switch to product management? The answer is yes. Now I don't know how many years of IT sales experience you have, but the fact of the matter here remains is, like I said, look at the organizations you want to work at, go to their careers website, identify the product management roles, see what you're doing in your current role, which can be mapped to what the job description wants, then figure out what other skills you need to acquire. Can they be acquired by shadowing someone in your current organization? If no, can they be acquired by you getting in touch with some startup organizations and working pro bono for them? Okay, if the answer to both of those questions is no, figure out that would you like to take the route of an associate product manager or an entry level product manager at some company, and then create your path from there. Okay, so which of these three paths you take will be a personal choice, and I cannot force one or the other on you, because I don't know what everyone's background is. But if your question is, can you switch? The answer is yes.
Okay, perfect. So now talking about switch, there is a process, right? That how one could basically switch into it. So there's another question by Prathamesh. Being an undergrad, what are the best ways to learn the skills for product management, and what could be those core skills that one need to focus on?
Okay. So I'll give you a few resources, and I think people should absolutely learn and follow from these resources. Okay. The first resource is Product School. So my educated guess is that a lot of people use Spotify. Okay. So Product School has their own podcast on Spotify. It is not paid, it is free. Okay. And there are just so many episodes that you could keep listening to it for a few months and you would still have more content that keeps coming. Okay, so definitely start listening to that. And my question, this is not specific only to Pratmesh, but it is for everyone. Okay, so start listening to that. That's one thing. Second thing is, like I said, look up job descriptions, because different organizations have different requirements for product managers. Okay, whether it's both soft skills and hard skills. Now, soft skills is not something that you can acquire just sitting down, but soft skills is an internal process. What you need to do with soft skills is that you need to look at your everyday functionality. And when I mean functionality, I don't mean your professional job. I mean just how you're living your life, and see that did you incorporate those soft skills somewhere? Did you make an effort, whether it's leadership, whether it's compassion, whether it's being able to make an impact, whether it is helping someone understand something, whatever it is, did you apply any of those skills in your everyday life, or did you even make an attempt to do that? Okay, that is how you're going to build on your soft skills. That's one. Now, hard skills, of course, is okay, are you taking a course currently in undergrad? Can you take a course on Udemy? Can you take a course on LinkedIn Learning? Can you take a course on Coursera? Okay, so you need to figure out what platforms do you have where you can take these courses, and whether it is even imperative at this point or important at this point to take a course. Right now, I'm not going to tell people that you should spend thousands and thousands of dollars on taking courses. Okay, because if you're in undergrad, please understand that your position is, in fact, you're at an advantage as compared to someone who's making a switch after a few years of work experience. And the reason that you're at an advantage is because entry level product manager roles or associate product manager roles are created for people who have no experience at all. They are willing to pay you and willing to give you experience. But for someone like me, they're willing to pay me, but they're willing to give me the experience, but they're not going to pay me for me to gain the experience. I have to come with that experience. Okay, but as an undergrad, you're not expected to come with the experience. But having said that, as far as your soft skills are concerned, if you come with that experience, you will always be at an advantage. Okay, so one tool, like I said, is Product School. The second tool, personally, that genuinely helped me was Product Buds. It was a community that started last year in June in the United States, purely for people aspiring to be product managers. Okay, so a lot of details or information that you will see may be specific to the US, but I can tell you this: product management is not different whether it's in the US or whether it's in India. Okay, but this community has tons and tons of videos, which I again encourage people to watch. Okay, the other, of course, is a platform called Exponent, which has a lot of interviews. Okay, you may not be able to get a lot of access to it for free, but whatever you can get for free, take that. But I do have one very important recommendation here. Okay, don't expect to get everything for free, which I think is a big challenge for students in India. They come expecting everything should come for free. No, someone is investing their time in you. Their time is worth few dollars, not few, actually hundreds of dollars, right? So they may not be charging you hundreds of dollars for it. They may be charging you less, but be willing to, if you don't have an income right now, or you get allowance from your parents, okay, put away some amount to invest in yourself, because yes, you may get certain things for free, but it'll be capped, and your advantage versus someone who is willing to pay for the same resources will then decrease. Okay, so keep that in mind, but these are the resources and the methodology to follow to be able to develop your skills, to be in that position to become a product manager.
Interesting. Okay, so I have one interesting question from for MBA guys, because a lot of people get confused that MBA is the only route for product management.
Okay.
So how an MBA guy can also get into product management? This is the question. How to break into PM role with no experience, and an MBA graduate with 1 year of pre-MBA experience as a software engineer.
Okay, please take the route of an associate product manager. Is this gentleman currently in an MBA program? No,
I
he's
think
a
he
recent MBA grad.
graduate.
So I don't know what he's currently doing. So Komal, I don't know what you're currently doing. But if you are a recent MBA grad, associate product manager roles are opening up right now. There are multiple entry product manager roles. Please go full throat out without leaving any stone unturned. Okay, like, if you don't have a job right now, looking for a entry PM role or an associate PM role should be your full-time job. Okay, whether it comes to building your resume, whether it's your LinkedIn profile, whether it's networking, this should be your absolute priority. You should be spending anywhere between 6 to 8 hours absolutely looking for that role for yourself, because your software engineering experience will help you. Because my educated guess is that the company that you worked at, if they were working within a scrum environment, that is the environment that product managers also work in, so you can leverage that experience for your PM role. And you are not essentially breaking into PM. I think this is another myth, because the term, I think this term perhaps should be like patented or something, breaking into PM. Okay. It's like saying breaking into software engineering. No one talks about breaking into software engineering, right? Because everyone just assumes that you can become a software engineer or you can become a product manager, program manager. But the reason that a lot of people use this term as break into PM is because everyone assumes that becoming a product manager typically happens when you've already held another role and now you're breaking into it. Okay. But that's not the case with everyone, right? People are undergrads, people are grads, and then they are moving into a product manager role. That is the first job that they've ever held. Okay. So don't develop this mental block about breaking into PM, because it's only going to lead all of you to believe that what you have done before doesn't have any value and you are starting from zero, whereas that is not the case. If I have to give you one liner on a mental hack, it would be that think of it as transitioning into a product manager role. So you will then look at the work that you have done as an opportunity to use that experience to move into product management or transition into product management. I hope
Great.
that answered the
Okay.
question.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So let's come back to our Q&A. So what is the, since you talked about, breaking into PM, finding that first job, or, for undergrads also to get into PM. So what is your routine? What was your routine action plan? And what could be the action plan that you would suggest, including the job and strategy for people who are planning to get into PM? Could be for freshers, could be experienced professionals, something on for both.
Let me understand this correctly. So your question to me is, what is the routine that I followed to look for a job? Is that the question that you're trying to
Yeah,
ask?
yeah,
Okay, great. Disclaimer: I don't want anyone to be scared when you hear of my routine. Okay, because the point is that I treated looking for a job as a full-time job itself. Okay. First and foremost, I networked ruthlessly and proactively with complete understanding of which are the organizations I want to work for. And I networked with three categories of people at those organizations. Category one was decision makers. Category two was people who had put out on their LinkedIn profile that they are hiring or may have been potential hiring managers. And category three was recruiters. Okay. That was the first action plan that I did. While I was doing this networking, I worked on my resume. Okay. It took me 45 days to build the resume that I have. And then I tweaked my resume for every role. I was not lazy, and I do not say this with any arrogance. I say it with complete modesty. I was not lazy. Okay. I have over almost 75 resumes today in my on my hard drive, because those were the number of companies I applied to, or not companies, but the roles I applied to, because I applied to multiple roles at companies. But every role I applied to was absolutely curated to what the role was looking for. Now, I was not fudging what I did, but this just means that using the right language. Okay. Second was that I studied and I read, because when it comes to an interview, I developed a question bank of 182 behavioral questions that could be asked in any interview. Okay, so plus minus, these were the questions that were asked to me in any of my behavioral interviews that I had. Now technical interviews are very different from for different companies. Like for Amazon, you do not have to worry about a tech interview until and unless the role that you have applied to is a tech role. If it isn't a tech role, Amazon is going to interview you on the 16 leadership principles. Okay, so that's what they're going to do. So Amazon's interviews are very different from other organizations. Okay, so I developed that question bank for myself. The third was I worked extensively on my LinkedIn profile. So a lot of people think that, okay, they will revamp their LinkedIn profile, they will revise their LinkedIn profile, and it's done. It is not a one time job. You need to keep updating it, tweaking the words, adding things almost every month based on where you are on your journey. Okay, so I invested anywhere between, so in my introduction, Nikhil mentioned that I am a practitioner of Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism, right? So a lot of people may have heard of it, may not, but if you've ever heard of this chant called Namyo Horenge Kyo, that is the Buddhism practice that I am part of. So it was my choice. I invested about 3.5 hours a day into my practice, whether it was studying what the practice recommends, whether it was helping individuals who are in the practice, whether it was chanting. I would invest about 3.5 hours of my day into my spiritual practice, which is something that has really, really, really helped me get to where I am today. So that is 3.5 hours of my day. Okay, I would invest about 1.5 hours networking, so that brings you to 5 hours. I would invest another 1 hour, 1.5 hours identifying the right roles, okay, so that I could know who are the people I want to get in touch with. That's 6.5 hours. Okay, I would invest almost 2 hours into studying to make sure that, because sometimes organizations, keep advertise a role and they're looking for someone immediately. So they're not going to wait for me to be prepared for an interview before they tell me, okay, come for an interview, right? I could apply today and through a referral, and I could get a call for an interview within a day or two. So I would invest about 2 hours in studying for my interviews, both behavioral and technical. So that's about what, 8.5 hours of my day. Okay, and last but not the least, I would take another hour and a half to create content on LinkedIn, create content on Instagram, create content on Facebook, because there could be people on these various platforms who could be looking for inspiration, who could be looking for encouragement. So I did not wait that I'm going to get that dream job. Interestingly, Amazon was never on my radar to even apply to. A recruiter had reached out to me. Okay, so I continue to create that content, because if we keep waiting until we accomplish something to help the community, it could be a very long wait, because we don't know how long it's going to take, right? So might as well just start helping people. And that is also something that helped me just stay very grounded, not get stressed about things, and just work. So I've invested a good 11, 12 hours of my day, okay, into my spiritual activity and into my job search activity. So I do not apologize for the time I invested. Okay, and that's why today I'm helping people with their resume reviews, with their interview prep, with their networking, and so on and so forth. Because like I say, I may not have a PhD degree on the wall, but I did that PhD on myself. So do you need to invest that kind of time? I don't know. Do you want to invest that kind of time? I don't know. Because you need to figure out what the organization wants where you're working, where you want to work at, and where you are. And the larger that gap, the more time we need to invest to narrow that gap. The smaller that gap, yes, we need to invest lesser amount of time, but larger that gap, the larger amount of work we will have to do. So, Nikhil, in the interest of not scaring anyone, I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. I think you told it in a very candid fashion. Like, the larger the bridge is, the more you have to walk, like, the more
Exactly.
you have to spend time. And
Right.
it goes without saying there is no shortcut or no hacks into
No,
it.
there is,
What
yeah,
you
there
can
is
do is
short.
probably take a right mentor at a very early stage who have walked such kind of a path, so that you don't end up walking multiple paths to reach to a same
Exactly.
target.
Exactly. And if you can allow me, I do want to add one thing because I've seen this thing over the past 1 year. Okay, there are a lot of companies. I don't want to name any because I don't want to scar anyone's image. But there are a lot of companies that will tell you that okay, you work with us, you don't have to pay us anything upfront. We are going to help you craft your resume. We are going to help you get referrals at companies. We are going to help you get the job. And once you get a job, okay, then you pay us whatever, some 3% or no, 10% or 3% or whatever your salary is. Okay. It sounds very lucrative, believe you me. It sounds like, oh my God, I don't have to do any work. They are going to get me the referral. Now, the reason I oppose this, okay, and I'll tell you why. The reason I oppose this is because the absolute worst scenario you can put yourself in is applying blind on a company's website. What I mean by that is you go to a company's website, you find a job, you put your resume, and you apply to it. Okay? You might as well not apply. Please don't waste your time doing that. The second best option to that is that okay, Nikhil is working at Adobe, so you've got in touch with Nikhil on LinkedIn. Nikhil says, okay, I'm willing to refer you. He refers you, and now you go into a pool of referred candidates. Believe you me, there are so many people in that pool that you'll perhaps be lucky if you get picked. The third is when you network, you get in touch with either hiring managers or recruiters or potential people who may be hiring for their team. So you are able to secure an interview, and application just becomes a formality, which is what happened with the 12 companies I interviewed at. I only applied because they needed me to be in the candidate pool so that they knew that, okay, they were interviewing this person. And the best opportunity is that a recruiter reaches out to you, which is what happened with me for both Microsoft and Amazon. Okay. Now, if you take that route of, okay, you don't pay us anything upfront, we will refer you. What is basically happening there is they're finding people on LinkedIn. You are not doing it, they are, who will refer you. And I just told you that there are over 10,000 people who may apply to one single role at Amazon or even Microsoft. Whereas there is already a recruiter for that role at Amazon or Microsoft who is looking for people at LinkedIn, right? So what is even the percentage that we will make that cut of our resume reaching in front of that hiring manager? Okay, so as lucrative, and then I did the math calculation also. Okay, that whatever 10% of your salary or whatever is a huge amount. Believe you me, you will not be paying that much even if you pay for a job search program that I currently have. Okay, you will not be paying that much at all. So please don't get sucked into this. Be willing to work on yourself and improve yourself. Okay, and like Nikhil said, there are no shortcuts, and I think the issue happens when people want to take these shortcuts. It just doesn't work eventually. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
Absolutely, Mandakini. So now talking about, okay, there are no shortcuts, but for a routine person, you did a lot of things, right? Not everyone is expected to do, the same kind of a pathway that you went through in terms of, planning and searching for your job. So for an average person who is, again, this is not to demean any person's effort,
Yeah.
but for a regular person who would definitely want to get in, what are the steps that they can, probably follow, and then based on their willingness or aggressiveness, they can always expand into each of the steps for the
Okay.
job search.
Sure. Sure. Step one is make a exhaustive list of companies. That is absolutely a crucial and essential step because if you don't know which companies you want to work for, where are you even going to apply? Okay. Divide those organizations into easy, medium, and dream. What I mean by that is Google is a dream company, Apple is a dream company, Amazon is a dream company, Microsoft is a dream company, and they have a very, very tough interview process. Okay, it is not that I've applied today and all's going to be great. It's a very tough interview process. I've interviewed at these companies, and believe you me, I think Amazon literally sucked the blood out of me. After I finished their interviews, I was physically exhausted, leave mental. I was physically exhausted that I said, please, no one disturb me for an entire day. Okay. Now, so what I'm trying to say is make a list of those companies that you want to work at, then divide them into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 should have easy and medium companies. Tier 2 should have easy, medium, and could be two or three dream companies. And tier 3 will then have lesser of easy, it'll have more of medium and dream. Okay. So that's step number one that you do. Step number two that you do is go to these organizations of tier 1, go to their career websites and identify 2 to 3 roles at each of these companies. Okay. And say, and then kind of could be just print out these roles so that you know that, okay, what are these roles really looking for from you. Now, once you have done that, you have companies in tier 1. Now start networking with people in tier 1. But please remember this, when you're networking, your goal is not that they need to refer you to those jobs that you have printed. Because by the time someone may reply to you, it could be another week. People are busy. Okay. The only reason that you have printed those roles is so that you know what product management needs of you. Okay. When you start networking with people, you need to network with the mindset that you're getting in touch with someone because you want to learn something from them. Go through their profile. And I want to mention this, that please don't start investing into LinkedIn Premium. Okay. If you any which ways don't have an income, don't invest into LinkedIn Premium. When you send someone a connection request, it gives you an option to add a note and it has certain character limit that you can use. Use that, please. I don't know. I almost want to scream on top of my voice that I'm not sure why people don't use it. It is one of the most underutilized, I think, what do
Absolutely.
you call? And I created a post about this yesterday. I'm sitting at 122 requests that I still need to accept, and not even one has a note. And I'm wondering why do these people want to connect with me? Okay. So please utilize that note, because if you want to use an in-mail, a lot of people don't open their in-mails, right? So use that add a note concept. Okay. It saves you from having to use LinkedIn Premium. Okay. And it gives you the opportunity to just tell someone why you want to connect with them and go through their profile. Do a little bit of research as to, you know, make the person feel that you want to connect with them genuinely, and not because at some point in time you want to ask for a referral. Because I can guarantee you this, if you connect genuinely, you will never have to ask for a referral. The person automatically will tell you, let me know if you want to be referred, I'm happy to do that. Okay, so first and foremost, make that list of companies, divide your companies into 3 tiers. Next is start networking, and parallelly, when you start networking, start working on your resume. It is absolutely crucial to have a resume that showcases your value and the experience. Okay, you cannot have a lousy resume. Let me just put it in frank words. You just cannot. Okay. And you cannot have a lousy LinkedIn profile, because your LinkedIn profile is your digital resume, but there will be people who will ask for an actual resume as well. Okay. So start off with companies, move to networking. When you start networking, parallelly start working on your resume. But when you're networking, be very, very aware that your LinkedIn profile is up to date. It showcases who you are, what you're looking for, because otherwise the person you're networking with has no reason to accept your request. For please have a profile picture and please have a decent cover photo. Okay. If I don't know who you are or what you look like, I just don't know who I'm supposed to connect with, right? So this would really be the plan of action. And like you said, Nikhil, based on the priority, whether it's a top priority, a mid-level priority, or okay, fine, it's okay if I find a job in 2 years. That depends on how much time someone wants to invest into this.
Perfect. Okay, so this brings to one of the very interesting and one of the fan questions is time management and resource management. Because when we talk about resources, I believe every other day there is a resource being developed on product management. There are
Mhm.
so many millions of courses online, starting from Coursera, Udemy, edX, and so many other platforms are there, right? So, people would be more, I would say, confused rather than guided in
Right.
picking what kind of resource should I pick, where from should I pick. Even if I want to invest as a user, I would be confused whether I should pay $1,000 or $200 to this resource or that resource, or whom do I go to first. So resource management, and followed by that time management. If someone is planning to get into PM along with their job, what is that side management of the projects or the tasks they would be able to do. Any insights on that?
Sure. So I personally don't believe in the concept of time management, and there's a reason behind it. All of us have 24 hours. Time keeps running. We can't manage it. So I developed this concept for myself, which has worked very well, and I call it priority management. So if I have five tasks at hand, I prioritize them from a scale of 1 to 5, and what falls highest takes immediate priority. Okay, so I'll talk from that perspective. Now let us first get done with this whole resource concept, and I agree with you, there are just so many resources that it is more confusing than guiding. Okay, so first and foremost, use product school, but do not invest into the paid program, not because there's something wrong with the paid program, but because product schools paid program is more focused towards digital products versus product management as a whole. And that is the reason neither did I invest in the product management program monetarily, neither do I recommend someone. Now, having said that, that is my personal opinion. I wouldn't say opinion, it's my personal advice. It is completely dependent upon an individual whether they want to take that or they want to go another route. So, but like I said, on Spotify, Product School has tons and tons of podcasts, which I strongly encourage everyone to listen to, because each podcast is dedicated to a particular step in the product management life cycle, which is very important for an incoming product manager to understand. So that's one. Okay. Second resource, like I said, is Product Buds. Subscribe to their channel on YouTube and absolutely just learn from them. Okay. That's one. That's the second. The third is what they call Product Gym. Okay. Again, Product Gym has some good, decent resources that I recommend people to use. And fourth, and last but not the least, is Product Plan. Okay. Now, these resources will give any individual enough insight and input that they can get complementary access to programs, okay, where they don't need to pay. So that's one part of it. Now, if someone is open to paying for a course, I will not even recommend Udemy, okay, because whatever, let's leave that for another day. I personally I recommend Udemy only for basic courses. Someone wants to learn Excel or some stuff like that, Power BI, Tableau. I do not recommend Udemy for product management courses. Here, I will recommend LinkedIn Learning, but please be aware that LinkedIn Learning only comes with LinkedIn Premium. Now, everyone gets 30 days of LinkedIn Premium free. So, if you're absolutely clear that you're going to learn and that you're going to be open to learning something in the month that you're taking LinkedIn Premium for free, then prioritize LinkedIn Learning versus any other website. Okay, because LinkedIn Learning has some very, very, very good product management courses. Okay. Next, I will recommend are both EDX and Coursera. And the reason for that is both of these websites have courses which are verified by world renowned organizations, okay, and universities. Now, I can tell you this, I'm currently doing a product strategy course at Kellogg, which is an online course. Okay, I will even recommend that. So, Kellogg has multiple modules of different courses that you can do in your journey to product management. Okay, yes, the course costs about 1.5 lakhs, I believe, in Indian rupees, but I personally believe that there is a lot of value into it. So there are enough resources, like I said, Product School, Product Buds, Product Gym, Product Plan. These are four resources that you can use free of cost. If you absolutely want to pay, then prioritize LinkedIn Learning that you can get for free for 1 month. Okay, then Coursera, then EDX, and then could be you look at an online program. Now in India, if most people connecting on this conference are from India, I know Upgrad. Okay, Upgrad has a product management course. I personally didn't feel it was useful to me because all their case studies was basically about Indian companies. Uh, I don't have any input to give you any guidance of whether or not you should be a part of that program. But I can recommend another program, which is a paid program, which is by Udacity, Udacity. They are always running promotions, either a 60% off or a 70% off. So if you really want to pay for something where you will also get hands-on experience, I would say invest into that program, because you will be working with industry experts and developing for projects, okay, which you can also use as your portfolio when you are interviewing for product management roles. So if you absolutely want to pay and you only don't want to go the academic route and you want to take a practical route as well, invest into Udacity. So yeah, so that is about
Perfect.
resources. What was your other question? Was there anything else that you asked me?
Was It's more about time management, and you clearly mentioned there's
So,
nothing.
so my recommendation will be that if you're someone who's currently going to school, or like college, or doing a master's program, you have a job, and along with all of that, you're looking to transition to product management. Okay, uh, look at investing anything between an hour and a half to two outside of what you're already doing, to have an effective job search, because 2 hours on the weekend is not going to cut it. It's like saying I want to eat on a Saturday and Sunday for the entire week, okay, or just work out on a Saturday and Sunday for the entire week, right? So yes, you'll have to go a little above and beyond. So I would say, uh, given what your situation is, anywhere between an hour and a half to two every day will suffice for your job search, as long as you are doing it with a plan of action, okay, and clear orientation on where you want to get to.
Perfect. So we
Yeah,
have two interesting questions, one by Sudhir and other by Abhishek. So Sudhir
sure.
has asked how to build a product mindset, how to
Okay.
think for the product side. Like a lot of people may struggle with this. So what are the things that the traits that person can look towards, that the angle of looking at the thing like a product mindset?
Okay, so here I have two inputs, right? The first input will be that look at products that you use every day. It could be Instagram, it could be Facebook, whatever it is. Okay, it could be Spotify, it could be, I don't know, Paytm, Zomato, Swiggy, whatever it is. Look at products that you use every day. Identify what do you like in those products and what you don't like in those products. Then identify that did you actually start using those products because what you like today already existed, or you started using the product because when you started using it, they solved a particular need that you had. Because see, every product transitions and evolves, right? So why we started using a product when we started using it is very different from why we are continuing to use the product. Okay, people who use, I don't know, for example, I developed an e-commerce business out of Facebook, but I barely use Facebook today. So Facebook solved a need for me back then. That need still exists today, but Facebook doesn't give me the platform to solve that need, so I stopped using it. Okay, so a product mindset is nothing but understanding why are we using certain products today. Are the reasons why we are using those products today the same reasons why we started using it, or those reasons changed? And if we are using certain products today, what is it that we don't like? And if we were asked that, hey, if you don't like something about Swiggy, what are you going to do about it? That is how you develop a product mindset. Because when you are going to be a product manager, you will either be asked to lead a team that is going to develop a new product or has an existing product. So, if it has an existing product, you will need to work with the product marketing management team to determine how you can market this product. So, you need to know what pain point is this product going to solve for the market, or understand what pain point exists and why is someone going to be willing to use this current product that exists. Okay, and if not, and if you need to develop a new product, you again need to understand what pain point is that product going to solve. So this is the quote unquote technical mindset that you need to develop. From a
Interesting.
soft skill mindset, you need to get yourself in a position where you can make an impact without intimidating. So,
Got it.
so you cannot say bas ye karo and let's get it done. It doesn't work like that, right? You have to be able to say we are doing this so that we can achieve this, and upon achieving this, this is what is going to be your advantage. You need to be able to complete that entire loop, so it is leadership through action without intimidation. So this is how you develop that product mindset. And read books inspired by Marty Kagan, Swipe to Unlock by Neil Mehta, and what is this other guy's name? I forget his name. Who are
Mir
both
Eyal.
I'm sorry.
And Mir Eyal. Hooked.
No, Neil Mehta and something Agashe. I'm forgetting his first name. So they've written two books. They're both product managers at Google, young guys. So they have two books, which is Swipe to Unlock and The Sacred Seven. So these two books, in addition to inspired by Marty Kagan. Marty Kagan is the guru of product management. You want to, if you're clear, you want to get into product management, that is the book you need to read. And he's just released his second book earlier this year called Empowered. Okay, so follow him on LinkedIn. Go through his content, and also another guy by the name of Clement Kao, Clementkao. Follow him on LinkedIn because see, I fundamentally learned this, that in the tech world today, mentorship is not always about one person. You can receive mentorship from anywhere. It could be a YouTube channel, it could be an Instagram person, it could be someone on Facebook, it could be someone on LinkedIn. Okay, but the point is, how thirsty are you for that hunger? Yeah, okay. This guy's Aditya Agashe. That's right. Thanks.
Perfect. So we have one interesting final question that's more related to your Amazon experience. So can you please talk about the Amazon program manager role at Amazon? And what was the interview process like? Can new grads also apply?
Okay, great. So, Abhishek, your name sounds very familiar. Not sure. I may be connected with you on
He's pretty
LinkedIn.
popular, I remember. Abhishek, I followed him on LinkedIn or Twitter.
So, could be.
And I
Okay.
think he talks about products. Yep.
Yeah. Can you leave the question on the screen just so that I can address both parts?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
there,
Okay,
right?
great. Yeah, it's currently there. So let me address the second part first. Can new grads apply? Yes, they can. New grads can apply to any organization. There is no rule that someone who's a new grad cannot apply to any organization. In fact, I say that, like I said earlier, new grads have an advantage over experienced individuals. And every organization, okay, let me not say every, but I would say 9 out of 10 organizations have new grad programs. What it means is that they will make you an offer while you're still completing your academics, okay, because they are looking for you to join the next year. So the answer to being new grads being able to apply is yes. Then is, can I please talk about my program manager role at Amazon and what was the interview process like? So I'm not sure how much light I can give you on my current program manager role because I'm going to start next month. Okay. But I can tell you what I will be doing. Okay. What I will be doing is I'm going to be part of a team called Customer Trust and Partner Support. So what this team essentially does is when a seller registers himself or herself on Amazon, it is our responsibility to be able to identify whether the person is, uh, what's the right word I can use here? Whether the person is a legitimate seller. Okay. So let's say the person wants to sell something in India, but the person has a bank account to receive income at a bank account in Nigeria. That's a red flag. Okay. So currently, a lot of this activity, part of the CTPS team, happens manually. So I'm going to be working with the artificial intelligence and machine learning teams, and that is one of the reasons that I will be based out of San Diego versus Seattle, because San Diego has the tech hub for Amazon for their machine learning and artificial intelligence teams. So we are going to be building the program where we can reduce manual intervention. Okay, and the intervention can be more automated. So that is what I'm going to be doing in my role to be able to develop this product. Okay, now interview process, and I So Amazon has multiple roles, and if you go to the Amazon job site, one thing that you will see is that the roles are categorized very well. So you will have a project, program, product management segment which is tech and non-tech. Okay. Now, of course, if you apply to tech roles and you get invited to an interview, the first standard process for Amazon is that they will have anywhere between 1 to 2 phone screens, okay, and then they will invite you for what is called a virtual loop. A loop is where you will be interviewed anywhere between 5 to 8 people. It could be back to back or it could be split over 2 days. With the virtual format, they are giving people an option to either take it on one single day or split it over 2 days. The choice is theirs. But when it was on site, it was one day. It was called the virtual day. Sorry, it was called the loop day. So you would just go and you would have back to back interviews with like a 15-minute break, lunch break in between. Okay. Now let me talk about the non-tech roles. So if I talk about the non-tech roles, what's going to happen there is, I gave 8 rounds. I gave 8 rounds. Okay. So when I gave 8 rounds, I had only one round of a phone interview, and all of these rounds. So if you are not applying for a tech role, which is a software engineer or a data scientist or a tech PM, you will be interviewed on the leadership principles. You have to be very very aware of what Amazon's leadership principles are. So when you get invited to even your first interview, they will send you resources that you can learn from. So you don't have to worry that, oh my god, what resources can I learn from? So they will send you those resources. But in addition to that, you have to be very aware, okay, of what are the scenarios that you have worked in your current organization or your previous organizations, and what leadership principles do those scenarios actually exhibit. And I have over 250 pages of notes in which I created these scenarios, and you have got to answer in the star format. In fact, at the beginning of your interview, your interviewer is going to tell you that, I hope you're aware of the star format, because at Amazon, we are looking for you to answer in the star format. And the Amazon interview, you will have also someone that is called a bar raiser. So you will not know who the bar raiser is. Okay. This individual is someone who has thorough experience of interviewing over thousands of people in a particular year, and they have no connection with your hiring manager or the team that you're interviewing for. So they have a completely unbiased opinion. Okay. So let's say you're in the virtual loop and you are being interviewed by 6 people, and one of them is the bar raiser. There is no way to guess who the bar raiser is. Okay. So you just have to be very, very well prepared. Now, what's going to happen is, at the end of this, those 6 people are going to get together, okay, and compare notes and talk about what each person wrote. Now, if the bar raiser felt that you are so there'll be multiple outcomes of your Amazon interview. Okay. The first outcome and I'm using pure Amazonian language, okay, so that you understand, if you hear it. The first outcome will be inclined, which means you're inclined for the role and they will make you an offer. The second outcome can be inclined rotate, which means that you may have interviewed for either an L5 or an L6 position. Okay. But the team did not feel that you had that width and depth of experience for the current role that you interviewed for. So they will perhaps down level you. So if you interviewed for L6, they may down level you to L5. If you interviewed for L5, they may down level you to L4. Okay, because everything at Amazon works on levels, right? And then they will rotate you, and they'll immediately tell you that, okay, we liked you as a candidate, but the team would like to interview you for this other position. It'll be the same title, but it could be on a different team, and so on and so forth. So that is the second outcome, which is not inclined, rotate. Okay. The third outcome could be not inclined, do not rotate. What that means is that whatever you currently demonstrated in your interview does not allow Amazon to hire you at this point because you may not have exhibited the length and breadth of your experience for that role. So then you will need to wait 6 months before you can again apply to Amazon or interview with Amazon. Okay. I also want to say this that if you have, so you, irrespective of the number of people you have on your loop, right? If the bar raiser says no, it's a no. Now, the other is not true. If the bar raiser says yes, and the other five are somewhere on the fence, it doesn't mean that the bar raiser can push them out across the fence and say, I'm saying yes, so you've got to employ this person. They will come to a common consensus. So, in most cases, at that stage, it's typically a not inclined but rotate scenario. Okay. But if the bar raiser says no, it's a hard no. So yeah, that's just how it is. I'll perhaps be able to give you more insight once I'm in the company to know. But it's also because the bar raiser comes from a lot of experience, and it may not. The bar raiser may not be 40 or 50 years old. The bar raiser could be very young, but the person has a lot of rich experience of working with Amazon and taking a lot of interviews. So Abhishek, I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely, I think that's very detailed insights to it. People who are applying for Amazon, I think you should follow this kind of a methodology. Okay, so we have this final question before we close this. It's a very interesting question asked by Prathamesh. How do you keep a check that the product being developed is aligned to the user? That the product is, understood. The product has understood the user pain points, and it is also simplifying the user life instead of complicating it.
Okay. So, first and foremost, there is no organization who is going to start developing a product without understanding what is called user personas and doing user research. It's not going to happen. So, I'll take Zomato as an example because I think that is what is in the news because of their IPO that just went out last week, right? Now, even when Dipinder Goyal was at Bain and Company, he did not start developing Zomato or what was called what Foodie Guy at that time.
Foodie way.
Foodie Bay, what was called Foodie Bay at that time, without understanding whether this was a requirement or not. Okay, so to answer your question of whether the product being developed is aligned to the users, the answer is that a product that is being developed will always be aligned to the users. Now, a lot of people can argue that, okay, fine, Google developed XYZ product or Microsoft developed XYZ product and then they discontinued it. Yes, but when they were developing it, it was based on user research which told them that a product like that is required. Now their competition took over or developed something better that they may not have foreseen. But when they were developing that product, it was because it was a need of the hour to solve a pain point that existed. So there is no organization who will be developing a product, okay, with the thought that, okay, it might even remotely complicate a user's life because the essential um, premise behind developing a product will then be lost. A product roadmap, when it is being built, which is the first step to build to the completion of the entire product life cycle, the product roadmap is put together based on inputs from the users, based on what the user persona, and by user persona I mean uh, who the category of users who need to be researched and spoken to. Okay, the product roadmap is only developed at that point in time. So if a company is developing a product, you can be rest assured that it is to solve a pain point, because it is a pain point that has been expressed not by the organization who is developing a product, but the users whom they have researched. So users have said that yes, we have a pain point and we need this product developed. Okay. And the company is not going to waste its resources on developing something because if they think it's going to complicate a user's life. Not at all. That is not going to happen. So the question that you have asked me, what I want to say is that a product being developed is because it is solving a pain point, is developed because it is going to ease a user's life. Now, a competitor develops a better product, okay, that is a completely different story. Like Instagram Reels does not stand a chance in front of TikTok. It just does not, right? But the fact that TikTok's product is more valuable and offers a better return on investment versus Instagram Reels does not mean that Instagram Reels is not solving a pain point. Now, in India, whether someone likes it or not, that's their only option because TikTok is banned, right? So the product is solving a pain point. It just may not be as good at it as its competitor. Okay, but it is solving a pain point at the end of the day if it is being developed.
Interesting. I think that was very insightful. Like, how do people develop products? A lot of people, take up a very narrow judgment that, okay, this product is doing it, but then I get this competitive product and this product is bad. Like, I think the regular comparison that we do with the two food delivery services, right? We have ideally a duopoly in the market, right? In the food delivery services.
Right.
So either someone likes Zomato or someone would not like Zomato. Okay, so I think
Exactly.
that's a very interesting insights to it.
Yeah,
So,
because
guys,
it's not black and white, right? The point is that every product is solving for something. It may not be that something may not be your pain point, but it is someone's pain point.
yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. So, I think we come to the end of the session. Thank you, everyone, for joining in, and thank you, Mandakini, for taking out
Thank you
good
so
amount
much,
of time.
Nikhil, for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Absolutely. And just to let you guys know, we did a similar session last year in Mentor Conference with Mandakini. And it was, again, a very insightful session. Since last year till this year, I could see personally a lot of improvements in the kind of content that has been shared in the session. So, guys, go to our YouTube channel, check out the session later on. Also, if you want to learn more about, Amazon's product interview guidance, and also how to get into product management, what kind of job strategies that you would want to pick it up when you're planning for switching to product management, what kind of resources that you should start off with, and how to identify the companies that you want to work with. And also, the last year's video is also very good. You can probably check it out on our Foreign Admits YouTube channel. It's also streaming there. So, thank you everyone for joining in today. Thank you, Mandakini.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nikhil. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye bye.
Thank you. So, guys, here we come to the end of the first session, but do not, get overexcited. We have two more amazing sessions coming up. So, today in this session, we learned about product management, breaking into product management, but how to build amazing products, how to build user-centric products. We got some really top-class speakers, joining in at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. tonight. So do not miss it. It'll be live streamed on YouTube and on LinkedIn on my profile. So if you're not connected to me on LinkedIn, definitely connect to me over LinkedIn, or else subscribe to Foreign Admins YouTube channel so that you do not miss those two workshops. And those are like limited edition workshops, will not get streamed again. Okay, so try and attend that because we have Shravan from Baichu, a principal product manager, coming in, and then we have Pradyut from Netcore, who is going to talk about SaaS products. And trust me, SaaS is taken over in India like a tsunami. So you would want to learn about how to build SaaS products. Okay. So I believe this is it for today's session. Let me share some insights and a little bit about videos, what Foreign Admins is all about, what this mentor conference is going to help you out. And this marks the second week of the pre-conference. In the second week, we are going to discuss products today. I think we have Counselors Connect, where you can understand about different kind of career counseling methodologies, how to counsel about your own career, what kind of career options as an undergrad or a postgrad level you have, how do you get into that, what kind of international jobs can you break through. We got a US immigrant for you who is expert in job counseling and career breakthrough in US. And then we have certain other sessions into public policy, development studies, resource economics. We got Yash from Public Policy India to guide you on those things. So stay tuned because this coming week is again going to be transitioning from a career to a job and figuring out what your career options will be. So this whole week will be about that, and then comes the epic mega 2-day event. Anything and everything related to study abroad will be covered there. So do not miss it. We got Avanti, we got Saloni, we got amazing speakers from Germany, Netherlands, Australia, US, and so many other places. So if you want to learn about bachelor's, master's, MBA, PhD, MSIS, MIF, and so many other courses at top universities, you should be attending 24th and 25th. 2 day, it's a long day. Cancel everything, be on the laptop or be on the phone. You should not miss those events. It's going to be live interactions, just like today. We are going to take up a lot of questions, and there are so many speakers from which you can learn a lot about your study abroad dreams. So for today, let's stop it. We'll see you at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. And let me show you a little bit about Mentor Conference.
So the first question was why higher education, right? Okay. So why higher education? The study and the base that we have developed in bachelor's is not really enough.
Rather than actually talking about the purpose, they actually reprint their resume there.
But yeah, you're just involved. What impact did you create? What was substantial growth? Was there any kind of a consistency in that activity?
Product manager needs to be relationship building and communication. And communication in terms of the fact that it has to be very clear what. So